Oh, we're live. So it's Monday. Let's talk about journaling. That's the topic today. We're now what 40, 46 days into this quarantine when they officially shut things down. Um, at least that's what I learned yesterday as my wife and I were sitting down and going through these quarantine time capsules for our daughters. And I thought this was something that was pretty cool and really kind of sparked the whole idea behind what I wanted to chat about today. And actually, yesterday, I sent out a newsletter, and the topic was basically all about journaling and keeping tabs on your life. Taking time to stop, reflect, write things down, whether that be gratitude or just wins or even losses and lessons. And I'll dig into that a little bit more, but I feel it's important for you to seriously take a look into journaling. If you're not already doing it, I would consider strongly implementing it and adding it into your life because for many of the men that are in the Forge Father Project, daily gratitude journaling is one of the main things that we do, amongst other things. But it's been a life changer for them, and I just wanted to share with you, how it's been a life changer for me. And if you're one of those guys sitting there, struggling through this quarantine, finding yourself unmotivated, you're just not driven to do shit, and so as a result, you're not doing shit. You're letting your health and fitness slip even more off the path, and you're just not in a good place. And I would have you consider for a second that journaling could actually be that source of leverage and pressure that you need to help push action. Um, it could be a game changer for you. So, but either way, journaling for me has been kind of it's been within my life for years and years and years. I want to say I started it back in 2010 when one of my buddies, he sent me the 5-minute journal. He sent it to me as a gift. And basically the 5-minute journal, that's exactly what it was. You were to take 5 minutes out of your day, stop, think about something that you're grateful for, reflect on something that you did, over the past couple of days, maybe the past week. And then what I really liked about it was there was always a quote at the top. That quote was always to get you thinking in, a positive state of mind, whether it be like a positive motivational type quote or just something that, look at this quote and really take some time to think about it. Like, how can you apply this to your lifestyle? How can you, take action with this quote in your lifestyle? And so that 5-minute journal really was the beginning of me making a full-on transformation, from within, instead of just focusing in on the external shit. At that point back then in my life, I thought that it was all about the motivation, right? The external motivation, where that's really wasn't the case. Is more so about the discipline that you build inside of your life. And that's something I talk about quite a bit. And when it comes to journaling, one of the reasons I do it, on top of just helping me collect my thoughts and get shit together so I have more clarity, is the discipline side of it. The discipline side of it, because it's something that you got to do each and every day. You got to take a little bit of time out of your day to put towards writing, whether that be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. That's what started it for me, was the 5-minute journal. And then from there, I got turned on to Craig Ballantyne's. It was like the perfect day formula. And so he has like a journal with it, and he had a whole, setup with that. And the biggest piece that I took from that was just, again, it was the journaling aspect. And so it's like first thing in the morning, you journal, and then you actually journal again in the evening to kind of close out your day. And I've actually taken that, template, and that's really what has kind of created what I do today for myself, which is kind of a hybrid model of gratitude journaling, just journaling straight up, and planning. And so basically it's GPR, right? Gratitude, plan, reflect. That's what I do every single day within my journaling. And for the guys inside the Forge Father Project, one of the big pieces that we do for the mindset aspect of things every single day is that of some sort of journaling, whether it be that exact model or just gratitude journaling, noting something that you're very grateful for first thing in the morning. It puts you into a certain state of mind that you're not thinking about the shit that's stressing you out. You're not thinking about, what you don't have. You're thinking about the things that you do have, and it puts you in a positive state so you can start taking positive actions, right? And so that's kind of how things have evolved for me. And what really got me thinking about that was, for a lot of the guys that are struggling right now, especially through this pandemic, they're finding themselves at home, they're finding themselves unmotivated, and even outside of this pandemic, it's such an internal game. You got to win the battle up here. And I feel journaling sets you up for success, because if you think about it, like how often during the day, especially when shit is just crazy, it's hustle bustle, you're busy, you got this, you got that. How often do you ever just stop to really think about things and just reflect just on like the past day, let alone the past week? And for a lot of guys out there, they say never. That would be their answer, because they're always focused in on what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next. Stress, 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 stress. And then they never take the time to actually think about what they're grateful for, nor do they ever take the time to look back at what the hell they fucked up on. Like, what are the lessons that we can learn from the failures that we've had? What are the breakthroughs that we can take away from the things that we've done up to this point that has led to our success, that has led to our progress? And I feel like for me, when I journal, those are the bits and pieces that I'm trying to pull out, right? And so kind of going back to my model, it's GPR. So the first piece of that is gratitude. And the way that's evolved for me, because years ago when I first started doing gratitude journaling, it was just, I'm thankful for, being able to coach clients and, be an impact in their life. I'm grateful to have a freaking, Jeep that I was able to buy, saving up for years and years and years and hustling and grinding. I'm thankful to have, clean water to drink, a house over my head. I'm thankful for this coffee that I'm drinking. And it was just, years and years of just that type of stuff. And now it's more into, obviously a family focus. And what I've turned it into starting this year, what I came up with was, it's more so a gift for my wife. And basically every single day for my gratitude journaling, I'm talking about something that I remember most about her from the day before. So it might be a experience that we went through with our daughters, or, it could be something as simple as, man, I really enjoyed that walk that we went on. This is what you were wearing. This is what I remember about you most. And so I decided to start doing that at the beginning of this year, 2020. And for Valentine's Day, that was one of my gifts to her. And straight up, she said that was probably the best gift that I've ever given her. And we were only, a couple months into the new year. And so my plan is, I'm going to continue to keep that journal all about her and, my thoughts and, gratitude towards her for the rest of the year up until next Valentine's Day. And I'm going to give that to her for a gift next year. And I'm just going to continue to that on and on and on. And what that has helped me do, our relationship has just built tremendously from that. And I put that on, making it a priority, making it a focus every single day to stop. And I do this first thing in the morning. So after I wake up, I go through my ice cold shower, which I fucking hate still every single day. I don't know what it is. It was yesterday. I actually stood there for a minute and just, I didn't want to get in that ice cold shower, but I did it. Part of discipline. But that's the first thing that I do. After that, I come downstairs, get my water, put a scoop of greens powder in there. That's, a little bit of lemon juice, some pink Himalayan sea salt, hydrate the body. And then I open up my gratitude journal and I write, one of the first thoughts that come into my head from the past day about my wife. And so it really forces me to think back, because a lot of times, and my wife and I had this conversation, a while ago. And this could be a whole nother podcast episode here in itself, is just, relationships building. And obviously this is something that we focus in on within the Forged Father as well, as, building relationships, improving relationships, and strengthening relationships. And oftentimes as dads, we get so caught up in just the hustle bustle of everything that's going on. So we got to take care of this, we got to take care of that, we got to take care of the kids, right? We got our profession. And then the relationship between you and your wife, you and your better half, it just becomes routine, and you're just kind of going through the motions. And it's for a lot of the dads that I've talked to over the years, it's you become roommates. You live together, and that's it. And so for me, this whole idea behind, gratitude journaling with my wife as the main focus, it's forced me to up my game with our relationship. So it really puts things at top of mind. I'm like, holy shit, like yesterday I kind of neglected things, like I need to pick it up. And that's one of the things for me is I never want to get into a routine where it's like that, because my wife and I years ago, that was a conversation that we had. I got so caught up in building the gym and, with everything that I'm doing online with all my coaching clients and whatnot, and, putting, all the time and effort into our first daughter at the time. I mean, you kind of neglect one of the bigger relationships that you have, and you don't want to let that slip. And so part of my gratitude journaling is put towards that. Now, the second piece of my journaling, this is where the planning comes into play. And so I start to think ahead on, what's going to happen coming up over the course of the day. And I usually look at this the night before as well, with my reflection time. But the planning is all about like kind of making a personal declaration for what you're going to get done over the course of the day. And this is going to obviously be different for everybody. But for me, there's, set many goals that I need to get. Like there's a big outcome that I want to achieve over here, whether it be, a new project that I'm putting together or programming for a certain program or individual or whatever the case may be. I map that shit out. Top 3 things for the day. This is what I'm going to get done. It's in the calendar. I know when it's supposed to be done. I know when the time is blocked off for it, but it's right there. And I look over it. And so I'm clear. I know what needs to be done. And then it really just becomes a game of execution at that point. And so that's the second piece of my journaling that I do, is the planning. And then at the end of the day, every single day, I close the day out, right? Before I head up to bed, everything's been done for the day. I'll close it out. I'll look and I'll reflect back over the course of the day. What got done? What were the wins? What were some of the losses, AKA lessons? I don't like to say they're losses. They're only losses if you choose to fucking give up on them. And you say, you know what? That didn't work. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to do it tomorrow. It's like, okay, I didn't get that done. Why did I not get that done? Was I not disciplined with my time? Whatever the case may be, you reflect on it and you learn, and then you evolve. And then guess what? You come back even better the next day. And so at the end of every single day, to close things out, I go through that. I reflect. There's a couple of different things that I look at as far as metrics over the course of the day from a business side of things, but I look at the big 3 things that I listed, and did I get it done? Did I get it done? Did I get it done? Then I kind of lay out my next day, briefly lay it out, look at my calendar, what's on the calendar, what do I need to get done? Boom. I go to bed with a clear mind, clear head. Years ago, I used to just do to-do lists. I'd be like, oh, this is everything that I need to get done tomorrow. It'd be overwhelming. It'd be stressful, and it would take away from my sleep. Like I'd be thinking about all this shit that I need to do because it was unorganized. Rather, when you lay it out and you're like, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, then you look at your calendar and you actually create a battle plan for that shit. When you wake up, you know exactly what needs to be done. You know what time it needs to be done at. It just really becomes a game of discipline at that point. And so I wanted to share all this with you because chances are, if you're not where you want to be, if you're not, living the type of life that you want to be living, you don't have, XYZ, and you've let yourself slip and, fall out of shape, you're in bad health, fitness has gone to the wayside. One of the first things that I would consider you doing is getting your organization together, getting more disciplined with your time. And that starts off with, proper planning, but then going even deeper with that, journaling. And I guess what really made me think about all this as well is kind of going back to the time capsules that I mentioned at the very start. My wife printed off these sheets for our daughters, and so we were filling them out last night, and they're giving us their thoughts about, this time that we're facing right now. Like, years down the road, we're going to be able to look at these quarantine time capsule sheets. So it's asking a bunch of different questions like, what's your favorite this? What's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing to do during this quarantine? Like, what's the biggest thing that you remember over the past 2 weeks? What's a favorite activity to do with the family? That type of stuff. Like, it really starts to make you think. And as they grow up, it's going to be really cool to pull those out and just have a read with the family and say, you know what, back then, this was your favorite thing to do. And do you remember this? Do you remember this? And so what I sent out yesterday in the newsletter, and if you're not on the newsletter, I suggest you get on it. I talked about keeping a quarantine journal for yourself. And if you're not journaling, I would definitely recommend looking into getting started with this, because if you need more accountability, if you need to create more leverage and pressure to get your ass to take the actions you need to take so you can create these outcomes and obtain these outcomes, then consider starting up a journal. And this journal is going to serve as something that's going to really hold you to your word, right? You can start to make declarations in there. You can say, today is Monday. It is the 27th. I declare that I'm going to start working out this week. I'm going to get 5 workouts done this week, and that's what's going to get it done. So you can start journaling on that stuff, and you can start keeping track and tabs of your progress. And here's something that I want you to really think about with this is when this pandemic really, levels out, whenever that might be, what are you going to be able to read in your journal? Are you going to read something that makes you proud? That's like, fuck, I was a hustler. Like I was relentless. I tried to make shit happen. Granted, it wasn't the best of times. Like, everything was up against me. The resistance was heavy. I didn't feel like doing a lot of work. I was depressed. I was overwhelmed. I was stressed. But yet I fucking rose up against the shit and I made shit happen. Or you're going to read over your journal, and is it going to say like, I didn't do anything today. I was unmotivated. This and this and this is out of my control, but I'm just going to sit around and, whine about it. And I'm in a much worse place now that the quarantine went down, and the quarantine is the problem. What are you going to be able to read? Something that you're proud of or something that you're embarrassed of? Are you going to take this time to grow? Are you going to take this time to ascend? To pivot and become a different person? A stronger individual? Mind, body, soul? Or are you going to let this fucking crush you? You have the power to write the story. A journal is just a way of keeping tabs on that story. And chances are, if you don't keep a journal, and I'm not saying that you have to keep a journal here, it's just an idea. If you're struggling to find motivation, could be a way that you create that for yourself. Knowing that you have to keep tabs on this because it's just something that you do. It's a code that you live by. Might change the game for you. Might change your mindset a little bit. And hell, by the time this shit does level out, you might be in a much different place. You might be fitter. You might be stronger. You might be healthier. And you might have just created a whole new set of habits, routines, and behaviors that set you up for success rather than letting yourself drift and slip into bad habits, behaviors, and routines. Because for a lot of dads out there, they're letting this quarantine, they're letting this pandemic, and the shit that they can't control really control them. They're not rising up against the resistance. They're just accepting the bullshit excuses, the stories that they have going on inside their heads. And so really the big challenge that I'm presenting to you right now is start keeping a journal, knowing that you're going to have to read this back to your kids a couple years down the road. Because that's what I started thinking about yesterday when I was sitting there with my daughter going through these questions, and she was having to interview me. Like, what's your favorite thing right now, Daddy? And I was like, man, this is going to be fun reading this back to her, in a year, in 2 years. But what about my journal? What about when she grows up and she understands everything that's going on a little bit better? How's that going to sound? Me reading out aloud my journal, the shit that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, the actions that I'm taking, the actions I'm not taking. Do you want to be the dad that's going to read back, I didn't do anything today because I woke up and I just felt overwhelmed and I was stressed out, was tired, unmotivated, so I decided just to sit on the couch and, binge Tiger King. Or I said I was going to work out today in the garage and just wasn't feeling it, so I didn't do it, and I just skipped it. I'll start next Monday. What type of example is that setting? Is that something that you're going to be proud of reading? Or is it going to be something that you don't want to read? And so I'll leave you with that thought, this whole thing about journaling, this whole thing about quarantine, journal. I strongly consider you do it. And if you do decide to do it, let me know. Let me know. Let me know if you decide to step up and do it. For the guys inside the Forged Father Project, I know they're already doing it. Shit, every single week we do a live journaling session where basically you go live in the group and you own up to everything that you did that week, everything you didn't do, and what you're going to do the next week. That's another form of doing that. So either way, here's to a great Monday. Attack the week. Get yourself better. above all else, don't make excuses. If you want change, you got to go out there, you got to earn it.